Right now, Lance Armstrong comes clean, well, kind of, sort of, finally admitting to doping after years of lies, denials, and more. Question is it too little too late for millions of fans? And next, another sports story dominating headlines today, and this is one of the strangest ones you've ever seen, and there's a new twist to it. In the Manti Te'o girlfriend hoax story, questions continuing to swirl around the Notre Dame football player. Is he a victim or is he part of the scheme? And later, House Republicans, they are holed up at this lovely resort. Good for them. But what they're trying to do isn't just enjoy here 3 days off, but figure out their next move. With the inauguration just around the corner, are they ready to turn the page on the era of no? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thanks a lot for joining us this Friday evening, January 18th. It has been a long week here. And if you watched the show last night, it was not without its own share of back and forth and fighting. So what we decided was this Friday, two of the stories dominating the news that aren't even about the world of politics, or at least we'll get into that a little bit later, has to do with two sports stories as odd as many people can remember in a while. And last night, the world watched more than 3.2 million people for a channel that they had to frankly look up where it was on their dial here, as Lance Armstrong finally broke his silence and he admitted to what many of us had long expected, which was he was as much a part of the doping culture of bicycling as anybody else, if not more. It turns out all those records, a giant lie. He said they snowballed, almost creating a life of their own. One that he adamantly defended with bullying and lawsuits and vitriol. His admission came in the first moments of the interview.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
Yes or no? Was one of those banned substances EPO?
Yes.
Did you ever blood dope or use blood transfusions to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
Did you ever use any other banned substances like testosterone, cortisone, or human growth hormone?
Yes.
Yes or no? In all 7 of your Tour de France victories, did you ever take banned substances or blood dope?
Yes.
In your opinion, was it humanly possible to win the Tour de France without doping 7 times in a row?
Not in my opinion.
Was it a big deal to you? Did it feel wrong?
At the time? No.
It did not even feel wrong?
No. It's scary.
Did you feel bad about it?
No. Even scarier.
Did you feel in any way that you were cheating?
No. The scariest.
Were you a bully?
Yeah, I was a bully. I tried to control the narrative, and if I didn't like what somebody said, and for whatever reasons in my own head, whether I viewed that as somebody being disloyal or as a friend turning on you or whatever, I tried to control that and said that, that's a lie, they're liars.
Now the reaction's been swift. Rick Reilly, long of Sports Illustrated, now ESPN, who has been one of the biggest defenders of Armstrong through the years, tweeted, "After years of lying to my face, Lance Armstrong apologizes in an email. He can keep it." Kelly Holmes, the double Olympic champion, said, quote, "I'm assuming he now goes to jail for lying during an investigation, the bloody cheat." Meanwhile, at least some fans expressed sympathy, tweeting things like, "How about everyone stops hating on Lance Armstrong for a second and remember how much money he helped raise for cancer," obviously a reference to Livestrong. Now, many questions obviously remain here, like why he actually chose to come clean in the form you just saw, why now, and if this does anything to improve his image. Well, joining us now to talk about this as well as all the other issues tonight, Bill O'Reilly, Republican consultant and columnist for Newsday. You got Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Joe Concha, sports columnist who's written for Fox Sports, FoxSports.com, NBC Sports, New York Times, a lot of other places, and our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman. All right. Joe, they say there's 4 steps here for anyone, not just in the world of sports, but if you want to have a second act. And the first thing is that you actually have to confess, then you got to have contrition, then you got to have conversion and atonement. Let's start with the beginning. Were you satisfied with the confession and even a hint of contrition yesterday, or no?
I didn't see a contrite guy there, Richard. I didn't see a guy that was on there because he felt bad about what he did. He was on there because he got caught. And then when you get caught, particularly in his case where the word was used before, bullied his way, and nobody likes a bully, not only just saying, I didn't do this, but actually countersuing people. And
collecting. I mean, what
and collecting.
I mean, to talk about I can't say the word, but you know where I'm going. The idea that somebody calls you out for something you're doing, you not only say, no, you're a liar, you then sue them, and then you collect more than $500,000 from the London Times. I mean, there's going to be a line out here of civil suits against him, but somebody said it today, Joe, this is the definition of a narcissist, because you got to believe the lie, you know, like, you know, as Mr. Costanza said on Seinfeld, it's only a lie if you don't believe, you know. You can't make up what this guy did over the years, right?
And Richard, right, and not over an entire decade did he perpetuate this lie. Now, the good news is that he at least raised hundreds of millions of dollars for cancer.
But now some people are wondering if that was just a front, you know? I mean, and Andrew, you're one of the biggest bicyclist fans I know, and people cannot minimize 7 Tour de France's in a row, and everybody gunning for you. That all said, is there a confused, epitaph for Lance Armstrong, or is he just a cheat first, second, and third? It doesn't matter what he ever did. Didn't matter what he ever raised. You can't take a word this guy says seriously for anything.
Nothing confusing in my mind. I mean, it's the whole reason behind his success, behind his popularity, was his narrative. The fact that he overcame cancer, the fact that he was able to do something that nobody's ever done on a bicycle, which is win this incredibly arduous race 7 times in a row, the fact that he's an American and one of the few to even come close to winning it. I think 3 Americans have won it, and now 2 have had them taken away. It was his personal story that kept getting inflated by all the accusations against him, and so now it all evaporates. It all deflates all at once. And you know, I respect what he did for Livestrong and for cancer research, but even that was a fraud. He kept other potential athletes from getting to the top of the sport. Or think about riders on the bottom of the sport, the people who are just barely clinging on to a professional existence, who couldn't get a ride because there were people cheating in front of them the whole time. Think of the money that the U.S. Postal Service was one of his team sponsors for years and years. That means taxpayer money went to this cheat. I mean, I didn't have the heart to watch the interview last night. I'm glad I didn't, because the clips that I saw make me feel even worse and make me even angrier.
And to that point, Richard, you know, we're talking about, can he be forgiven? Just our 2 reactions right here, I think, is exemplary of how everybody feels. That you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube at this point. That even if you go on Oprah and you beg for contrition, for whatever reason with Lance Armstrong.
Now, I wouldn't have liked crocodile tears. You deal a lot of times with crisis management, Bill.
I was just going to say.
Wouldn't you have told your client? I mean, I have an open question. I don't know what he got out of this thing, but why did he do it? The feds had to be telling him.
I was just going to say crisis management. I mean, there seems to be no shame in America anymore. When he wasn't looking for contrition or forgiveness, he was looking for a communications consultant. He looks for the next crisis thing. He said he was driving his narrative. He wanted to drive his narrative over the years. He's still trying to do it.
I mean,
that's what puts him on.
Part of me liked that I didn't get the crocodile tears, because I wouldn't have bought it anyway.
Right.
But he was so dispassionate about it, like, damn Skippy, I did it, you know?
He also owes an apology to the country. I mean, this is a guy who represented America in the Tour de France. I mean, that was a great international...
And the Olympics.
And the Olympics, exactly. And I didn't hear an apology to his countrymen.
Dominic, don't you think, this has to do with the Te'o story too, but don't you think so much of the anger that's been built up, and frankly, people couldn't have, you know, if you spotted them a T and an F, they still couldn't spell Tour de France unless this guy, before this guy, right? It's because the media hates to be made a fool of. And the amount of people who bought in, who did all the ad campaigns and everything else between this guy, that's as much of the anger here as nobody. I mean, look, Rick Reilly. I mean, he basically had a statue of Armstrong in his front door, right? He's madder than any about this. I've heard other journalists today saying the same thing. They got taken for a ride by this guy. That's a lot of this, isn't it? The media doesn't like being made the fool.
He sold everybody to Brooklyn Bridge, 7 times?
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I'm sitting here, Richard, and I'm thinking about, what about the young kids? The media was taken for a ride, and it's going to take him a long time, if ever, to overcome that. But what about the kids that looked up to him?
That's right.
in terms of different sports perhaps, but saw him as a tremendous role model to overcome adversity. And for him to sit up there and do the political thing, which is, Oprah, I need a favor. You go on Oprah, I'm sorry, and you hope 2 years from now that it's all forgiven.
Joe, the math of this makes a little bit of sense. I know I got to go to break, but he admitted some things to a point. He admitted to things that he did that were covered by the statute of limitations. But he said he never kept doping when he raced again in 2008, 9, and I think in his last race. He also said that he never admitted doping back in 95, which was part of the investigation as well here. He's not completely out of the woods legally. I gotta think the feds have said, we didn't want, he offered to make a deal with him, talk about nerve again, and they said, take your money, okay? I gotta think the only reason he went ahead and did this was that had to be part of an agreement with him. Like, you're following your sword right now, and then we'll talk about where we go from here, right?
Yeah, Richard, you brought up a second act in the intro. The second act is not back on a bicycle, unless he's going to bike to a courtroom, because that's where he's going to be living the next 3-4 years of his life.
You don't buy this triathlete thing that's driving it, do you?
Oh, no, of course not.
I mean, come on. Where's the money in being a triathlete, right?
Right. He's a 41, 42-year-old guy at this point anyway, and coming off of steroids, we've seen this in Major League Baseball. Your body precipitously falls when you've gone from here to here, and you don't have that in your system anymore. So, again, I think
about trying to save his bacon.
It is, and I think people are more angry now than anything else. I think it did more harm than good.
I can't imagine what's going to happen tonight here, what they still save. But all right, and again, as Andrew mentioned, there's a part 2 coming on this evening. All right, we take a quick break. But when we come back, believe it or not, there's an even stranger story with even more twist today. We're going to bring you the story of Manti Te'o and his girlfriend, or the girlfriend that never was here. Another twist, as I told you, we'll tell you about what happened here, and this gets even more bizarre, but also it raises a whole host of interesting questions. Is this guy the victim, or in fact, a key part of the scam? We'll be right back.